Look, sending up my prayers, get my mind right. Traveling the world and taking long flights. I had moments in this life that gave me long nights. Obstacles part of the process and the time's right. I do not enjoy the vanity of limelight. If we crash out in this world, we pay a fine price. We can't let these devils win, we got kids here. You gotta try to channel anger and then switch gears. Ain't no real praise, they don't give no recognition. But big homies quick to send niggas on reckless missions. Never had no leadership, not even in religion. So all roles that niggas chose, they likely led to prison. The fallibility of man to make them ask forgiveness. Had home invasions, wasn't Santa bringing gifts for Christmas. Lord, heal me from this prior PTSD. Cause I spent years feeling like I want the best me. Father, here against the supplication. Against the supplication. They took our voice, they tried to suffocate us. Took our voice, they tried to suffocate us. Every corner in my hood, I done rode and spent them. Cause I refuse to sit aside and try to play the victim. Father, help me make a plan that'll never fail. Cause we experienced some scenes we could never tell. Make us stoic and obedient to all our creeds. And give us strength cause those in you are really truly free. We sat and did the sketch, them niggas sat in disbelief. They'd rather give you band-aids that never fix the bleed. Give wisdom to our sons and help guide our daughters. Without the strong men, the whole damn house is slaughtered. Bless us, Lord, never let us carry blinding anger that put the people that we love in the hands of danger. You start living when you navigate through grave mistakes. And we desire all our days in this dwelling place. The purpose of our growth, so we have a lot to carry. That every man hear the words in this sanctuary. Father, here against the supplication. Against the supplication. They took our voice, they tried to suffocate us. Took our voice, they tried to suffocate us. Father, hear us down here. We living in hell. We put our prayers before your throne. That the blind see. That those taught crookedness will walk straight. We are your servants. Those that have not forsaken your ways. Those who have not bowed their knee to Baal. Hear our prayers, Lord. Protect our household. From Yasha Allah.
Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfieth thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles.
Things that I endure feel like they damn near killed me. And I lived it dolo, I don't want nobody near me. Broken hearted hearing that my brother pleading guilty. Just another circumstance, a world so filthy. KB got pitched, the feds said that he was out of bounds. Handful of charity for him, there was not a sound. Acting out in school, parents beefing, father's not around. If you dream to fly high, the hood niggas shot you down. Lord, give me strength, I've been patient and I'm waiting. Through the wiles of the devil, I've been battling with Satan. I said, let it to my sons, give you something that'll bless your soul. Patience is a virtue, value close, and it's next to gold. Plan to reach the hoods that's close to us, even Mexico. If you take this oath, it ain't no flaking, we gon' step for show. Father, see my enemies surround me, would you bless my soul? Father, see my enemies surround me, would you bless my soul? Surely it's making me great. Just endure the bumpy roads, no need for making mistakes. If we step across the world and it possess you to hate, then you a coward in the cut and couldn't step with the apes. We came from facing our fears many years before puberty. Warfare erupted erupted from the smoke. I told him, you and me. As you can see, we trying to build us a legacy to mold our sons into a different kind of pedigree. We defied the fact that life is over from a felony. Praise ye the Lord, won't you sing a holy melody? Living miracles, sparking slander and sparking jealousy. Gotta stand up manfully and move with zealousy. Unmerited favor, that's what all of us got. And none of us know the end, cause we ain't calling the shots. So we flooding the blocks, the goal is giving them hope to reverse the sting of death, and we breaking the yoke, the yoke.
Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfieth thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles.
Things that I endure feel like they damn near killed me. And I lived it dolo, I don't want nobody near me. Broken hearted hearing that my brother pleading guilty. Just another circumstance, a world so filthy. KB got pinched, the feds said that he was out of bounds. Handful of charity for him, there was not a sound. Acting out in school, parents beefing, father's not around. If you dream to fly high, the hood niggas shot you down. Lord, give me strength, I've been patient and I'm waiting. Through the wiles of the devil, I've been battling with Satan. I said, let it to my sons, give you something that'll bless your soul. Patience is a virtue, value close, and it's next to gold. Plan to reach the hoods that's close to us, even Mexico. If you take this oath, it ain't no flaking, we gon' step.
That's a bad guy.
We look for a new heaven and earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. Bring me to the river Jordan. Look, as a man thinks, then so is he. Prime examples led me to the terms of what I see. Look at me, kicking back, reflecting in the cloud. In my tears, and so much so that I could drown. The class clown, first in any smoke, it's going down. My father told me, nigga, you're hard-headed. I know now. Keep me, Lord, cause I feel that I cannot continue. And I've carried scars from watching just what all my friends do. Talk about this shit in all my music, cause it mean a lot. 5 years, fed time, it flew by, didn't seem a lot. Ever had time stolen from you and couldn't see a clock? But danger made us cautious, so we went to go retrieve a Glock. Moved me from a hood, but I'm still stuck with all the memories. Plus I ain't escaped the generation of my enemies. Please expose the hand of all these niggas that pretend to be. And raise your right hand, but show glass if you feeling me. Take me to the other side of the river Jordan, cause here we celebrate coming home, but when we scoring, bring me to a land that's plenteous in milk and honey, where niggas don't obsess about hitting licks and loving money. Shit, let us see a place where death will lose its vicious sting, so we don't see our loved ones in the vision of a dream. Amen. Let us see the day where we kings and we running government, cause babies have no fathers in this land, nobody loving them. Woke up in the night, I'm wondering if this gon' carry on, but answering myself that life's elite and it's a marathon. I dream for better days, but then my dreams, they go away. Cause if they had the capability, then I'll go cold today. Help us, Lord. Hear a man's cry and hear his prayer. Cause if we crashed and burned this wicked world, they wouldn't care. We taught that paradise is a place you go when you die. But I'm trying to experience paradise while I live. Take me to the other side of Jordan, let my sins run down as I cross. Bring me to a place that's beautiful, and I can raise my tribe and be saved from the perils of danger. Praise the Lord. Let us make it to the other side. And here, well done, my servant. Yeah.
That's the bad guy.
We look for a new heaven and earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. Bring me to the river Jordan. Look, as a man thinks, then so is he. Our Father, which art in heaven,
When you see some light, that's a breakthrough. Concrete jungle, it's a damn zoo. Eyes wide, while they live on snooze. I'm hoping what you touch impacts some souls. Picture perfect, nigga, like a centerfold. I'm all about my bread, that's the dinner roll. Do it on my lonely, you can send the word. I remember drinking until my speech was slurred. But karma is the bitch, you better treat it right. It's power in these thoughts, she gave me mic. But this your life, nigga roll the dice. Eviction notice, try not to notice. But through your ups and downs, trying to find your purpose. Girded in this truth, blocking evil forces. Good intentions, create your invention. No huddle, fourth and inches. Keep on trying, heart of a lion. Keep on climbing on your way to Zion. Highs and lows, no time to fold. Since the snotty nose, I've been kinda bold. Keep on trying, heart of a lion. Keep on climbing on my way to Zion. Highs and lows, no time to fold. But since the snotty nose, I've been kinda bold. You headed to them streets, trying to fill the void. Trying to box with God, trying to win our floor. All these traps, gotta count the joy. I lift my voice up like a trumpet though. Wash away these sins and these transgressions. Change your outlook, that's your only weapon. But we the black Jews, these is mental Jews. Trying to set a pace while they drive on cruise. Can't trust they actions, they intent is cruel. I'm from a sunny place where it's shady people. Erase your history and they say we equal. Do your all in this world, they make you feeble. Built these corporations, look how they treat you. Get up on your grind, I'm thinking ownership. I know your past mistakes equate to something better. He give visions to the blind, Helen Keller. Keep on trying, heart of a lion. Keep on climbing on your way to Zion. Highs and lows, no time to fold. Since the snotty nose, I've been kinda bold. Keep on trying, heart of a lion. Keep on climbing on my way to Zion. Highs and lows, no time to fold. But since the snotty nose, I've been kinda bold.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth.
Put the Lord first, put him first, put the Lord first.
Gotta put the Lord first, gotta put the Lord first.
Put the Lord first, put him first, put the Lord first.
Gotta put the Lord first, gotta put the Lord first, yeah. They wonder how them dry bones rose from the dirt. Live my life without this truth, mind going berserk. Put them first, he'll show you your worth. Put your hands toward the plow and start doing the work. I cry so much that my tears dried up. In the furnace of adversity, he gon' try us. But having a plan, it's pivotal for a man. I'm praying towards the east till we back in our land. I'm wide awake, no longer sleep. I feel somebody round here praying for me. Put away that filth until your conscience is free. Stormy days gon' come, what comes after the rain? With the washing of the word sends down that drain. Threw away that old man, received a new name. I need a place to call home just to cover my shame. Call upon the Lord, just don't do it in vain.
First, put him first, put the Lord first.
Gotta put the Lord first. Gotta put the Lord first.
Put the Lord first, put him first, put the Lord first.
Gotta put the Lord first. Gotta put the Lord first. Yeah. My faith deeply rooted, trying to heal my family tree. So many blind, some no get to see. Renew your mind and keep the faith. Can't live this life, taking the space. The devil lurking around the corner, another murder. I'm speaking truth to my neighbor, that's for certain. Watch what you speak, cause things can manifest. Cast your burdens on them, don't even stress. Ain't no wisdom in they breath, cut the conversation. I put the Lord first, and ain't no contemplating. These blacks is hot and I ain't talking about Turk. I war with the adversary and I'm building my fort. Staring bold like a lion, cause these souls is crying. Heal these open wounds, cause it's pressure applying. Gird up your loins, these devils are snatching souls. Push to the corner, these youngsters is clutching poles.
First, put him first, put the Lord first.
Gotta put the Lord first. Gotta put the Lord first.
Put the Lord first, put him first, put the Lord first.
Gotta put the Lord first. Gotta put the Lord first. Yeah.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
Exalted warriors. High 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 exalted warriors. Know that we warriors. You don't want war with us. Know that the Lord with us. He covering all of us. All of my niggas against us militant. All of my niggas is diligent. Bull raised with the black shades. On some Black Panther shit. And when we hit the block, we make a scene. We ain't even trying to be seen. We just want a good name. Lord willing, we make it to the kingdom. All of my people hope that I see them. I really understand Paul. Desire to save them all. From the mountaintop to the valley lows, I'ma go wherever my people go. Let the truth flow, and that's for sure. When they ask me what I represent, I'ma let them know.
Push line, Maccabees hammer time, North and South combine. We at the end of times. Son of righteousness come and behold. If you take a sip, better let it soak. Gotta go, let the trumpet blow. Gotta let them know that it's time to go. Babylon falling like Jericho. Though the enemy running to and fro. The Israelites coming with a glow. Whoa, 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 to the whole globe. It was at halftime. Now we at the finish line. You know, boots on the ground. Freaking that drum line. You know I don't mind. Long as your hand in mine, all praise the Most High. The elect finna be refined. But now we Yahweh with us. Anywhere you know we going up. No, you don't want war with us. I exalt the warriors. The warriors. I exalt the warriors. But now we Yahweh.
hood's a war zone. You're born and you're dying alone. We are trapped in this poverty the devil has brung. Hustle for crumbs, wildin' and we sinning for fun. Gripping the gun, robbing and we smoking the tongue. Coughing the lung, cops come, nigga, we run. Posted on blocks with young boys that offer your top. Fiends cop for a needle or a pipe with a rock. Same shit, different day, tell me when will it stop? Praying through Christ, life's like you rolling some dice. Brown hair, no choice, gotta learn how to fight. Dark at night, searching for a light out of sight. This the ghetto, with Flint water carry heavy metal. OG proverbs sounded like a riddle. Been through a lot, always had a little. Yeah, ha, in this land of captivity. Wickedly oppressing's nativity.
Ski mask season be lit thanks to Corona. Frankincense and myrrh is my aroma. Peep the aura, don't let the enemy destroy ya. With vain fallacies, kick your wisdom with the Akis. Pass the sake, never sloppy. Resting on your P's and Q's. Streets is watching, the government is always plotting. These devils rotten, have my family picking cotton. Fell from grace, now we at a lower state.
It's a hard knock life for the children that's in this land. 30 years later, try and move like a businessman in the circle of life. I think it's best that you step straight to fiery darts. Attempt to penetrate your breastplate, but at the left gate, we seen the opposite of luxury. That's why through the obstacles ahead, they can't fuck with me. But luckily, I know the story, it don't end here. I've seen the righteous stand bold when other men fear. Parabolic principles for those that should live wise, so that we don't lean upon our own just to get by. Tried to make us vanish like if they was David Blaine, but through time we woke again, cause don't nothing stay the same. Hell exists on the planet, it ain't under the ground. The children of God, they rise, they try to plunder them down. They didn't believe, since snakes and venomous thieves, they doubted potential. Like that shit he couldn't achieve. Only Yahweh got a purpose for his royal servants, to step around the evil snares and to avoid the serpents. Only Yahweh got a purpose for his royal servants, to step around the evil snares and to avoid the serpents.
Your eyes ahead. Don't abandon the mission. If you don't do it, who will? Trust the purpose. Know your worth. Trying to overcome this world full of negligence. When you get a hold of this truth, know it's heaven sent. Baseline in this word is my medicine. Meditating on the daily, gotta let it settle in. Ain't no settling, do it for the betterment. Put your whole armor on, don't let the devil in. Down so long, it's hard to hold still. Know this nation business and it's time to rebuild. Yahweh is the lifter of my head, keep my chin up. Lion gotta rise off his paws like Simba. Agile, never fragile. Gotta get my praises 7 days a week, no surrender, no defeat. And we proving all things, and we gotta show receipts. Gotta dust your feet, it's the lack of they belief. Royal priesthood, gotta be wise when I speak, gotta be wise when I speak.
You know what I mean? Keep your eyes focused on the prize. You know what that prize is? That kingdom. That kingdom on earth.
Trying to survive in Babylon, I pray your blessings come your way. Patiently
All right. Shalom. Yeah, I don't appreciate y'all roasting us in the comments, man. Me and Apayak was going back and forth, trying to get the controls working and everything like that. So, you know, I read y'all comments, man. Y'all are hilarious. Yo, Yashar, you was throwing tomatoes. Shalom to the good brother Ganon. Shalom to everyone in here. Yeah, absolutely. Ganon, it is demonic. Gonna get right into that shortly. Was getting flamed, man. I was like, yo, man, we trying, man. Aside from that, I definitely got to agree with Ganon. This was a good day, paid off. This is the only time of the year that I hate when stores are closed, but driving everywhere, it's completely quiet and the roads are empty. Yo, Yashar, I was trying to just play different tracks. I don't know what was going on. I called up out. He said, yeah, I tried to get one track going, then it skipped. I didn't know if he was on the music DJ or not, so I was trying to change it and stuff like that. But now we were good. I was just trying to play the different tracks you guys are making with all the new music you guys are producing. So I wanted to like spread it across the board instead of playing, you know, the same tracks and stuff like that. I know Apayak's been playing some of the newer tracks brothers have been releasing. So aside from that, absolutely repent and believe the gospel. We're actually going to get into the fallacy of Christmas tonight, as you guys see the title of the lesson. I'm going to read into my presentation first before we get into the articles, because before we get into the presentation, well, we're going to start with the presentation first, but not go into it entirely at first. What I want to do is lay out some terms before we get into the articles that I have to kind of explain everything I'm already going to go into. And a lot of it tonight is going to be repetitive, but it's going to be expediently done so that we get to the foundations and the root of what they call Christmas and why it's celebrated the way it is today and why it's held as December 25th. Of course, I know you guys have heard it's the birthday of Christ, the three wise men that came and visited. We know Luke chapter 2, the shepherds and the herdsmen were grazing in the fields, so on and so forth. So we're going to get into a lot of that tonight with the doctrine and the fallacies and the unsound and completely unreasonable and preposterous arguments and conversations that are had and made pertaining to Christmas. And we're also going to get into why December 25th is not the birthday of Christ. I wasn't going to go into the entirety of everything, going back to ancient Babylon, Assyria, Nimrod, so on and so forth. But what I did want to do is just lay majority of the groundwork and majority of everything that really has to be established and talked about when it comes to this holiday. Conganon, exactly. And that's what we're going to go into tonight. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Shalom Lamad. This is going to be very repetitive. This is going to be very formal, and this is going to be very, very factual pertaining to what's going to be brought out with all of the information. Can you guys see my screen? Just share it. Or at the stage. There we go. Zoom in on this. All right. All right, the origins of Christmas. What did I just do? All right. So we're going to just get into the defining terms. Here are a couple before we get into the article shortly. You have tradition. Tradition is the transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation. It is also a way of behaving or a belief that has been established for a long time. A fallacy is a mistaken belief. It is faulty reasoning, a misleading and unsound argument. It is a fallacy is also reasoning that comes to a conclusion without evidence to support it. Sacrilege is violation or misuse of what is regarded as sacred. Blasphemous acts that disrespect, violate, or misuse holy traditions or objects. Irreligious means neglect of religion. It is the lack of religious belief, practice, not having the feelings pertaining to religion. I also use this inside the terminology as well, because there are people that celebrate Christmas that don't really read the Bible. They're not Christian, or they're not religious in any kind of way, or not spiritually grounded, so to speak. Origin refers to the source, beginning, or an ancestry of something or someone. It is the parentage and derivation. Association is a group of people organized for a joint purpose to connect and or combine with something or someone else. All right. Now, lastly, on these ones, Christmas. Christmas is from the Old English meaning, which is Christus Mass, which is to be defined as Christ's Mass or the Mass of Christ, when people are gathered together. It is a serve celebrated in the Eucharist, or the Mass again, for Christ's birth. Xmas is the abbreviation of it, which comes from the Greek term chi, which is X, which is why it's also called Xmas. Ignorance. This and Christmas both have asterisks by them, particularly because these are important. Ignorance is the lack of knowledge or information. We all know Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Ignorance is also the lack of education and awareness. It refers to being uneducated, uninformed, unaware from the very root of not knowing. An accomplice. These are very important because a lot of you know what an accomplice is and who and what an accessory is, especially in these days and time. But to tonight's lesson, you're going to see how this also applies. An accomplice is a person who helps another commit a crime, one associated with another, especially in wrongdoing, someone that is a cooperator, participator, or co-conspirator. An accessory is contributing to or aiding an activity or process in a major or minor way, either a subsidiary or supplementary. By law, it is someone who gives assistance to the perpetrators of the crime without directly committing the crime or even being present. Okay. So with that being said, with Christmas, we know what to expect. We know what to hear. It's for the kids. It's Jesus's birthday. It's, as we know, the saying goes with the stupid Christmas carols and the songs they play over the radio every year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Families get together. It's $1 billion industry, and people make really good market value off of it during this one day of the year. It's a federal holiday. Well, we're going to get into all that, right? Screen. Okay. Kwan, that's a fact. That is a fact. Okay. Now for the articles. Now for the articles. Okay. So, make sure I got the comments open. Exactly. Before I read, Ganon made an excellent point. They're playing on children's innocence. The fact that it's being lied to them about Santa Claus, who's based on a real character, that being Saint Nicholas, but they don't think of how ridiculous it sounds with the carols that they have and that they sing, pertaining to, like, he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. And it's like, now that we think about it, why does no one find that creepy and disgusting? Like, why would you know when someone else's child is sleeping and when they're awake? Like, we've never really thought to ask ourselves that, and we're just listening to these carols for all these years, and kids are sitting on a grown man's lap. Like, that's not okay. To Kawan's point, your children, and worshiping your children by giving them in the giving of gifts on this particular day, it is going to get you killed, right? Okay, so Saturnalia is the most popular of Roman festivals. Dedicated to the Roman god Saturn, the festival's influence continues to be felt throughout the Western world. Originally celebrated on December 17th, Saturnalia was extended first to 3 and eventually to 7 days. The day has been connected with the winter sowing season, which in modern Italy varies from October to January. Remarkably, like the Greek Chronia, it was the liveliest festival of the year. All work and businesses were suspended, just like today. Slaves were given temporary freedom to say and do what they liked, and certain moral restrictions were eased. Here we go. I don't know why I did that. Where am I? Oh, I'll read that again. The slaves were given temporary freedom to say and do what they liked, and certain moral restrictions were eased. If you guys remember Kaz's lesson, I believe he actually taught on Christmas as well. If all of you remember, it was even during slavery that slaves actually got break, weren't required to work, and actually got to be more, I'm not going to say free, but were less restricted to do as they please on holidays. Christmas also being one of them. And of course, them following it through slavery, we know that Alexander the Great and his 4 generals, the Greek Empire, Esau. The Roman Empire and the 12 Caesars, Esau. America, that overthrew and overcame against the French, Spanish, and British, Esau. So nothing is new under the sun with what we see that they're doing and practicing, and nothing is new under the sun. Everything that they did then is exactly what they did in those times during the colonial era, during the establishment of slavery, up until the Civil War, the Emancipation Proclamation, Reconstruction era, all the way up until present day today. Nothing is new under the sun. We are slaves that were literally just given a day off because it's a federal holiday now that's been implemented, that no one is supposed to work, and everywhere is closed, as all of you know and see. Definitely pedophilia behavior. Right, Kwame. Someone breaking into your home don't seem strange at all. Let's continue reading. The streets were infected with a Mardi Gras madness. A mock king was chosen, which was the seasonal greeting to Saturnalia, which was heard everywhere. The closing days of Saturnalia were known as Sigillaria because of the custom of making toward the end of the festival presents of candles, wax models of fruit, and waxen statuettes which were fashioned by the Sigillary, or manufacturers of small figures in wax and other media. The cult statue of Saturn himself, traditionally bound at the feet with wool and bands, was untied, presumably to come out and join the fun. And this is exactly what the letter of Jeremiah in Baruch was talking about. They make these idols and they deck them with gold and silver and present it as though it's a real living God. Now continuing, it says the influence of Saturnalia upon the celebrations of Christmas and the New Year has been direct. The fact that Christmas was celebrated on the birthday of the unconquered sun gave the season a solar background, connected the calends of January. Calends is where calendar comes from, to call out, to record, of January 1st, which is the Roman New Year, when houses were decorated with greenery and lights, and presents were given to children and the poor. Concerning the gift candles, the Romans had a story that an old prophecy bade the earliest inhabitants of Latium send heads to Hades, that's the god of hell in Greek mythology, and Phoda to Saturn. The ancient Latins interpreted this to mean human sacrifices, but according to legend, Hercules advised using lights. Phos means light or man, according to Ascent, and not human heads. So again, we not only see that they have a solar predominant calendar, and the Roman New Year is in January. And the celebration of Christmas was based on the birthday of the unconquered sun. This is in no relation to Christ, again, setting the foundation and the base of how all this came about to be established. Next article. This is from CBS News. CBS News is a major player in the United States news, known for its broadcast reach. Its evening news draws roughly 3.5 to 5 million viewers and has a significant digital presence. So that all of you know and understand, this is not something to overlook. This article was published on Christmas, actually 7 years ago today, by CBS News. So you guys can understand, just even within before the pandemic took off and everything happened, you can understand even a news outlet like CBS News even knew that Christmas is also a pagan origin, and the mainstream media knows this. Okay, there we go. Okay. When everything is dead outside, but it's New Year. Yep, it does sound about white. It's exactly what it is. Okay. So this is from CBS News, the unexpected origins of popular Christmas traditions. Though December 25th is a day Christians celebrate the birth of Christ, the day itself and several of the customs we've come to associate with Christmas actually evolved from pagan traditions celebrating the winter solstice. Christmas is really about bringing out your inner pagan, says historian Kenneth C. Davis told CBS this morning. That's this Edomite here on the right side. I'm not going to play the news clip, but he's explaining to the news host here about the origins of Christmas. So he says, Christmas is really about bringing out your inner pagan. According to Davis, Christmas was celebrated as early as the 4th century, suggesting that it had nothing to do with Jesus Christ. In ancient Rome, there was a feast called Saturnalia that celebrated the solstice. What is the solstice? It's the day that the sun starts coming back, the days start getting longer, and most of the traditions that we celebrate, that we have relate to Christmas, relate to the solstice, which was celebrated in ancient Rome on December 25th. It varies accordingly because it was a 7-day feast originally starting on December 17th. 7 days gives you December 24th, 1 day short of the 25th. Nevertheless, it's still linked to the winter solstice and Saturnalia being celebrated in December. So when Christianity became the official religion in the sense in Rome, they were able to fix this date. There's a little discrepancy about it, but there's no question that the fact that it was celebrated in Rome as an important day with gift giving, candle lighting, and singing and decorating houses really cemented Christmas as December 25th. Another custom we can thank pagans for, Christmas trees. Davis explained that the evergreen trees signaled the return of life and light as the winter solstice meant the days were starting to get longer. They started to hang an apple on it, so the little red balls on green trees, get the picture here, he says. So all these things celebrate the idea that life and light are coming back into the world, which is essentially what Christmas means to the Christians around the world. Never mind that you'll often hear it's for the kids and they're celebrating the birthday of Christ. They take no consideration into the fact of where this actually comes from and why people celebrate it. Mistletoe, though, that was started by the Druids, was believed it was an all-powerful healing item from the sacred oak tree. If you met someone in the forest, you gave them the sign of peace under the mistletoe, so people started to hang mistletoe above their doorways as a symbol of peace. This was such a powerful symbol of paganism that English churches actually banned the use of it, Davis said. Davis also pointed out that the very first instance of a war on Christmas actually dates back to the Puritans in the mid-17th century. They knew all of these things. The date, the traditions were pagan ideas. The Puritans banned Christmas for 20 years in America before celebrations became too popular. All right, third article. So these major news networks and these historical websites know about Christmas, its origins, and everything that's to take place, right? Kwam, that's a good question. It's a really good question. Absolutely, gonna bring out your inner demons to play and do all types of abominations, and this is why drinking culture is very much popular and normal at this particular time. That too, Ganon. Precisely that. All right, this is from skyhistory.com. The pagan roots of Christmas. Christmas makes no sense, and we're not just talking about that time that David Bowie and Bing Crosby collaborated on a festive sing-along. No, the basic facts of the annual ritual just seem to defy logic and meaning. What brightly lit trees and mistletoe have to do with the birth of a prophet in Bethlehem thousands of years ago? What does a jolly, portly man in red and white garb have to do with Christianity? What's the meaning behind the Yule log that's also in the presentation? And what kind of name is Noddy Holder anyway? Many people have a general inking about the way old pagan traditions and celebrations fed into Christmas as we know it today, but the details, which are still debated by experts as they reach far back into the mist of time, are fascinating and surprising. So this is a white depiction of Christ, and these are the three wise men. It's supposed to be Joseph and Mary. This was made in 1632. We gotta do better, man. So, Jesus' birthday. Scholars have argued about the exact year and date of Jesus of Nazareth's birthday for a long, long time. These arguments can get incredibly nerdy and forehead-clutchingly complex, involving the kinds of biblical code-breaking and cunning conjecture which would make Dan Brown proud. Take the whole issue of the Star of Bethlehem, which shone so brightly and led the wise men or magi to the infant Christ. There have been numerous interpretations of what the star really was and what its appearance can tell us about the timeline of Christ's life. A paper published by an astronomer back in the 1990s example suggested it was actually a comet which had been observed by other sources in the year 5 BC. Or maybe the Star of Bethlehem was actually the light cast by alignment of the planets Saturn and Jupiter, which occurred in October a few years prior to that. Others contend that September was actually the birth month, getting this from calculations involving John the Baptist's father. Remember, he had his mouth silenced and shut up until John the Baptist was born. Well, why? Well, according to the Bible, he was at work one day when he was approached by an angel and told that his wife was to have a baby. 6 months later, the Virgin Mary was given similar celestial news about her own pregnancy. Now, the thinking is that since John's father was a certain kind of priest who, according to historical sources, would have practiced in June, which is roughly around summertime, then Mary must have conceived in December and given birth to Jesus in September. Otherwise, of course, others have suggested varying dates for when John's father would have been attending to his priestly duties, and then there's really no way of telling for certain. Aside from all that, it's been generally pointed out that as shepherds were tending to their flocks when Jesus was born, this is the main and common argument, it's more likely to have been spring rather than winter. There's also the bit in the Bible reporting a census carried out on the citizens of the Roman Empire at the time of Christ's birth. Some believe it's unlikely, and it very much is unlikely, that the emperor would have sent his man to collect out the census information in the dire weather of winter. To which others might point out that the Roman Empire's HR department probably wasn't too fussed about the comfort and well-being of their staff, so it may have been winter after all. Let's skip down. Mary Saturnalia and Happy Soul Invictus Day. The most obvious precursor was the wild and madcap Roman festival called Saturnalia. Running for several days in early to mid-December and held in honor of the god Saturn, this was to become one of the most notorious shindigs in history, and with good reason. Never mind board games, charades, and kipping on the sofa at 4 p.m., the Romans marked the winter festivities with raucous parties, rampant gambling, and turning all social norms upside down. And you see this inside today's sports with football, and every other sport you can imagine. People go crazy, people drink, people get out of control, people fight. Even at football games, you see it. I've seen videos where people are flipping over cars, lighting cars on fire, vandalism. Even at times, like it gets ridiculous. The point of why I'm bringing this out is to pretty much show and display. Everybody knows about it. People just still delusionally decide to keep it. So the crazy thing is they use the Son of God to justify celebrating this madness. And even people are aware that he wasn't even born on Christmas. There's no way the shepherds in the field with the Judean climate would have their goats out in the field eating and herding the grass and and it's frozen outside. This even meant that servants and slaves were allowed to take control with their masters, even serving them on feast and following their orders. They were also allowed to openly criticize those in power, making Saturnalia an annual flowering of free speech and cheeky satire. All in all, Saturnalia had the hype and excitement we associate with Christmas today. As the Roman writer Seneca reported, it is now the month of December when the greatest part of the city is in a bustle. Loose reins are given to public dissipation. Everywhere you may hear the sound of great preparations. Interestingly, the festivities also saw houses decked out in greenery and gifts were exchanged. Of course, and this is a picture. So the depiction, you guys see the guy serving here in the corner. He's pouring the drinks. Two people are slumped on the table. And you see everybody in the corner here. You see them going crazy and wild in the back. Looks like they're festive and dancing. All right, Saturnalia is a classic example of a winter solstice festival, one of many which has evolved in different cultures to bring good cheer in the season of long nights and to mark a sense of renewal and rejuvenation. In 274 AD, this was installed by the Roman Emperor Aurelian. Long after Saturnalia was already a thing, the Romans established yet another way to mark the season, a day to celebrate the sun god Sol Invictus, the day in question, December 25th. Last points on this. By this point, Christianity was already a burgeoning religion, and with a handful of decades, Constantine the Great would officially adopt it as the religion of the Roman Empire. Early Christians would have Christian scribe would write several centuries later. It was a custom of the pagans to celebrate on the same December 25th, the birthday of the sun, at which they kindled lights in the token of festivity. And these solemnities and revelries, the Christians also took part. And what would you know? They're doing the same thing hundreds of years later, thousands of years later. Less than a century later, Pope Julius officially established that same date as Christ's birthday, conveniently appropriating the existing pagan shenanigans as a key Christian date. I'm going to get into this within the next article. Share this tab instead. All right. Another one down. The history of Christmas trees. The origin of Christmas trees stretched all the way back to the use of evergreens in ancient Egypt and Rome. However, Germany is credited with popularizing candlelit Christmas trees as we know them today. In the 1800s, this tradition made its way to America. Discover the history of the Christmas tree from the earliest winter solstice celebrations to Queen Victoria's decorating habits and the annual lighting of the Rockefeller Center tree in New York City. Long before the advent of Christianity, shout out to Ganani, put this in the chat earlier, plants and trees that remained green all year had a special meaning for people in the winter. Just as the people today decorate their homes during the festive season with pine, spruce, and fir trees, many ancient peoples have hung evergreen boughs over their doors and windows. In many countries, they believed evergreens would keep away witches, ghosts, evil spirits, and illness. Many people believed that the sun was a god and that winter... I'll read that again. Many ancient people believed that the sun was a god and that winter came every year because the sun god had become sick and weak. And this shows you how feeble-minded the nations are around about us, because the God we serve is not just omnipotent and omnipresent. the God we serve doesn't become weak for a season and then come back and decide to shine again. They celebrated the winter solstice, the shortest day and the longest night of the year, falling on December 21st or December 22nd in the northern hemisphere, because it meant that at last the sun god would begin to get well. Evergreen bowls reminded them of all the green plants that would grow again when the sun god was strong and summer would return. The ancient Egyptians worshipped a god called Ra, who was the head of a hawk and wore the sun as a blazing disc in his crown. At the winter solstice, when Ra began to recover from his illness, the Egyptians filled their homes with green palms and papyrus reeds to symbolize the triumph of life over death. So these are human traditions, and this is man-made. Early Romans marked the solstice with a feast called Saturnalia in honor of the god Saturn, the god of agriculture. We've gone into this. He is the god with the sickle. I've shown you guys the picture. In one of the pictures, he's actually feasting and eating a baby with the scythe in his hand. He is also known as the Grim Reaper in history, which very much, yes, does tie into Saturnalia and Christmas. He is the god of the harvest. And you guys should remember and know from the prior and previous presentations I've given, the people sacrificed their children for a good harvest in the agricultural season when winter died out. The Romans knew that the solstice meant that the farm and orchards would be green and fruitful soon. To mark the occasions, they decorated their homes and temples with evergreen boughs, and this is no different than today. Again, all of you guys are seeing people with reindeer, snowmen, igloos, whatever it is, you name it, the Grinch, all outside their homes. You see the Christmas lights and everything, so on and so forth. This is where all of this comes, and this is where all of this roots and derives from. In Northern Europe, the Druids, the priests of the ancient Celts, also decorated their temples with evergreen boughs as a symbol of everlasting life. The Vikings in Scandinavia honored mistletoe, another type of evergreen, for its role in the death of Balder, who was a god of light. Germany is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition as we know it. By the 16th century, sources record devout Christians bringing decorated trees into their homes. Some built Christmas pyramids of wood and decorated them with evergreens and candles if resources were scarce. In a widely held belief that Martin Luther, a 16th century Protestant reformer, first added lighted candles to a tree. According to a common version of the story, walking home one winter evening, Luther was awed by the stars twinkling amidst evergreens. To recapture the scene for his family, he erected a tree in the main room and wired its branches with lit candles. All of you know and are aware of Jeremiah chapter 10. We know that the heathen are dismayed at the signs of heaven. Them being dismayed at the signs of heaven is what allows them to be convinced in their own minds that not only do they deify the Lord's creation, being the sun and everything around it, this is what leads them to make the man-made traditions and customs that are being followed like this from ancient time up until the very present today. America adopts its Christmas trees. Most 19th century Americans found Christmas trees an oddity. The first records of Christmas trees being cut for display come from the 1820s in Pennsylvania's German community, though trees might have been the tradition there even earlier. As early as 1747, Moravian Germans in eastern Pennsylvania had a community tree in the form of a wooden pyramid decorated with candles. But as late as the 1840s, most Americans viewed Christmas trees as pagan symbols and shunned them. So even within the early 1600s when they sailed over here, was this not even 100% across what was then the 13 colonies and more states being added within the U.S., the Louisiana Purchase, so on and so forth? Was Christmas even celebrated amongst the common masses of colonists and populations within the colonies? It is not surprising that, like many other festive Christmas customs, the tree was adopted so late in America. This is key right here because this deals with us at headquarters. New England's first Puritan leaders viewed Christmas celebrations as unholy. The Pilgrims' second governor, William Bradford, was also the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony known as at the time, wrote that he tried to stamp out pagan mockery of the observance, penalizing any frivolity. In 1659, the General Court of Massachusetts enacted a law making any observant of December 25th a penal offense. People were fined for hanging decorations. That stern solemnity continued until the influx of German and Irish immigrants in the 19th century, which undermined the Puritan legacy. So yeah, even though they were colonists, they were enslavers, they at least knew this has nothing to do with the birth of Christ. This has nothing to do with what they're celebrating it and making it out to actually be. All right, last one. This is the most important one. When Americans banned Christmas. The first war on Christmas was declared almost 400 years ago, courtesy of our Puritan forefathers. Of course, this is written by Edomite. Excellent point, Ganon. Back, what they did then is very similar to Bacchus Khan with the drinking and the revelry. Ganon, the water for the Kawan, the water for the precept, Deuteronomy 4:19. Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which the Lord thy God had divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. So they were, as Kawan said, never tapped in with the Most High. They worshipped what he created. Okay, so this is when Americans banned Christmas. You guys can let this be known because there was a time Christmas was not nationally celebrated. This is an ancient depiction. How did the first settlers celebrate Christmas? They didn't. The Pilgrims who came to America in 1620 were strict Puritans with firm views on religious holidays such as Christmas and Easter. Scripture did not name any holiday except the Sabbath, they argued, and the very concept of holy days implied that some days were not holy. It literally says Scripture did not name any holiday except the Sabbath. So why don't you celebrate Christmas? Because it's not in the Bible. They for whom all days are holy can have no holiday was a common Puritan maxim. Puritans were particularly contemptuous of Christmas, nicknaming it Foolstide and banning their flock from any celebration of it through the 17th and 18th centuries. On the first December 25th, the settlers spent in the Plymouth colony, Massachusetts. They worked in the fields as they would on any other day. The next year, a group of non-Puritan workmen caught celebrating Christmas with a game of stool ball, an early precursor of baseball, were punished by Governor William Bradford, who said, "My conscience cannot let you play while everybody else is out working," he told them. So back then when they first settled here, roughly 400 years ago, this wasn't a Sabbath to them. They still worked. Fast forward now 400 years later to our present current time period. It is now a federal holiday, and now we have the day off. Not complaining, but again, we're going into how this all began. Why didn't the Puritans like Christmas? They had several reasons, including the fact that it did not originate as a Christian holiday. The upper classes in ancient Rome celebrated December 25th as the birthday of the sun god Mithra. Again, Sol Invictus. The date fell right in the middle of Saturnalia, a month-long holiday dedicated to food, drink, and revelry. And Pope Julius I is said to have chosen that day to celebrate Christ's birth as a way of co-opting the pagan rituals. Beyond that, the Puritans considered it historically inaccurate to place the Messiah's arrival on December 25th. They thought Jesus had been born sometime in September, which is the 7th month pertaining to the Day of Atonement, and also the Feast of Trumpets, and also the Feast of Tabernacles. Again, this is the second source that actually says that he had to have been born in September. And I'm also going to get into that because some say it's spring. So were their objections theological? Not exclusively. The main reason Puritans didn't like Christmas was that it was a raucously popular holiday in the late medieval England. Each year, rich landowners would throw open their doors to the poor and give them food and drink as an act of charity. Now, every single holiday, all of you see on Thanksgiving and Christmas, people do the same exact thing. Everybody hands out turkeys and everybody wants to donate and give toys. And what's disrespectful about that is that aside from these two holidays, which on a year count on this solar calendar is only 2 days, You have a whole nother 363 days to give and be charitable if you really wanted to and felt like it, not because it's a holiday. And continuing, it says, the poorest man in the parish was named the Lord of the Misrule, and the rich would wait upon him at feasts and often descended into bawdy drunkenness. Ganon mentioned this with the Feast of Bacchus. This is nothing new. Such decadence never impressed religious purists. Men dishonor Christ more in the 12 days of Christmas, wrote the 16th century Clagan Hugh Latimer, than in all the 12 months besides. So in the days that people celebrate Christmas and get together, Christ is more disrespected around and on the time of Christmas than compared to the 12 months of the whole year. That's what this man just said. Puritans in the English Parliament eliminated Christmas as a national holiday in 1645 amid widespread anti-Christmas sentiment. Settlers in New England went even further, outlawing Christmas celebrations entirely in 1659. We just read that in the prior article. Anyone caught shirking their work duties or feasting was forced to pay a significant penalty of 5 shillings. Christmas returned to England in 1660, but in New England it remained banned until the 1680s, when the crown managed to exert greater control over its subjects in Massachusetts. In 1686, the royal governor of the colony, Sir Edmund Andros, sponsored a Christmas Day service at the Boston Townhouse. Fearing a violent backlash from Puritan settlers, Andros was flanked by redcoats as he prayed and sang Christmas hymns. Did the Puritans finally relent? No, they did not. Not at all. They kept up their boycott of Christmas in Massachusetts for decades. Cotton Mather, New England's most influential religious leader, told his flock in 1712 that the feast of Christ's nativity is spent, let me highlight this, is spent in reveling, dicing, carding, masking, and in all licentious liberty, by mad mirth and long eating, by hard drinking, by lewd gambling, and rude revelry. So what he just said was this day is not even about giving of gifts. People want to eat, drink, gamble, and just enjoy themselves and enjoy within licentious liberty. Licentiousness means to be open and sexually liberal. European settlers and other American colonies continued to celebrate it, however, as both a pious holiday and a time for revelry. In his Poor Richard's Almanac of 1739, Philadelphian Benjamin Franklin wrote of Christmas, "O blessed season, loved by saints and sinners, for long devotions or for longer dinners." Last portion of this. So Christmas was finally accepted at the time? No. Anti-Christmas sentiment flared up again around the time of the American Revolution. Colonial New Englanders began to associate Christmas with the royal officialdom and refused to mark it as a holiday. Even after the U.S. Constitution came into effect, the Senate assembled on Christmas Day in 1797, as did the House in 1802. It was only in the following decades that disdain for the holidays slowly ebbed away. Clement Mark's poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, aka "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," was published in New York in 1823 to enormous success. In 1836, Alabama became the first state to declare Christmas a public holiday, and other states soon followed suit. But New England remained defiantly Scrooge-like. As late as 1850, schools and markets remained open on Christmas Day. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow finally noted a transition state about Christmas in New England in 1856. The old Puritan feeling prevents it from being a cheerful, hearty holiday, though every year makes it more so, he wrote. Christmas Day was formally declared a federal holiday by President Ulysses S. Grant in 1870. He is the president that came to power after Abraham Lincoln and is the president on the $50 bill, for those of you that know your history. All right. And that concludes it for the articles. Stop sharing. Okay. Now for the presentation. All right. Give me a second. All right. So in this presentation, again, the defining terms: tradition, fallacy, sacrilege, irreligious, origin, association. You also have Christmas, ignorance, accomplice, and accessory. The last two, accomplice and accessory, all of you know accomplices and accessories that are associating themselves with this holiday and celebrating it and giving it every excuse under the sun for why they're celebrating it, right? All right. Again, I want to drive the point home with the repetition. Saturnalia. Christmas incorporates elements from pagan midwinter festivals like Germanic Yule and Roman Saturnalia, Sol Invictus, blending them with Christian traditions, especially around the December 25th date, which coincided with the solstice celebrations and symbolized the rebirth, reinterpreted as the birth of Jesus, the light of the world. While the core Christian celebration emerged later, customs like evergreens, feasting, gift-giving, and the Yule log have roots in these older festivals, showing a fusion of cultures, which is even noted in the Britannica. Chosen to coincide with the Roman festival of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, and winter solstice celebrations, symbolizing the sun's return and the arrival of light, a theme Christian writers link to Jesus' birth. The Roman midwinter festival, which lasted 7 days, December 23rd to December 17th to the 23rd, brought merrymaking and the gift-giving traditions that merged with Christmas. Germanic midwinter festivals contributed customs like decorating with evergreen boughs and lighting the Yule log. The Christian celebration of Jesus' birth began in Rome in the 4th century CE, spreading as Christianity grew. The church adopted and reinterpreted existing seasonal celebrations, fitting Christian narratives into the familiar rhythms of midwinter festivals. Side note, this is also the same as with Easter and with Passover. Everything pertaining to this calendar and these holidays are exactly the opposite of what we celebrate and keep with our holy days. Think of it this way, right? Dedication comes in the winter. We have dedication, they have Christmas. They have gift giving on Christmas and in the winter season. We have Purim, which is when we gift give, right? We have Feast of Trumpets. Gather, let it be known that the 7th month is coming. It is marked by feasting and by trumpets being blown on the new moon of the 7th month, which is the first day of the month. They have Thanksgiving. They gather, they eat food, and they come together. We're already supposed to do that. They have July 4th. Freedom, independence, liberty. We have Passover. Celebration of Yahawashi being the death angel that came and rescued us up out of Egypt and delivered us. Everything that they have with their holidays are an unrighteous, bad translation to their holidays, which is of our holy days, which are on the right-hand side being righteous. Everything that they have is just a bad, unrighteous translation of what we are supposed to be and represent on the righteous right-hand side of what the Lord gave us pertaining to holy days. All right. The Yule log. This is the wood. The Yule log's history stems from Germanic and Norse pagan winter solstice celebration, symbolizing the sun's return and driving away darkness. Ancient peoples burned a large log for warmth, feasting, and good fortune, a ritual later adopted and adapted by Christians to coincide with Christmas, evolving into more modern traditions like decorative logs and the Bûche de Noël cake. The burning of the Yule log is an ancient tradition with roots in Nordic and European pagan winter solstice festivals, which is Yule, which celebrated the return of the sun and the lengthening of days. The custom was later incorporated into Christmas celebrations. Yule, which is from the Old Norse Jul, was a festival marking the winter solstice, the longest night celebrating the rebirth of the sun and longer days. A large log, often oak, was chosen and burned in the hearth for days, sometimes for 12 days. This is what that particular historian was talking about when the 12 days of Christmas are worse in them celebrating Christ than it is the 12 months of the year, as a ritual to honor the sun and bring prosperity, protection, and good fortune. Sparks were seen as good fortune, and the fire represented the sun's returning strength, warding off evil spirits. This is also associated with Odin's wild hunt and the return of light after the darkest period. A large log or an entire tree trunk was traditionally selected and brought into the home with ceremony. It was lit on Christmas Eve and using a piece of the previous year's saved log and intended to burn continuously for the 12 days of Christmas. This is why, and I don't want to sing it, but you know, the song goes on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me, on the second day of Christmas, on the third day of Christmas. That song is representing what these days are, continuing and leading up to Christmas. The ashes were considered lucky and offered protection from misfortunes like lightning. Different cultures use specific types of wood. In England, oak was traditional, while Scotland used birch, and France favored cherry wood, often sprinkled with wine for a pleasant aroma. Okay. All right. So these are quotes from the book The Battle for Christmas, written by Stephen Nissenbaum. That last name. That's Jewish, by the way. Nissenbaum. This quote here says, it was only in the 4th century that the church officially decided to observe Christmas on December 25th. Roughly, 16, 1700 years ago. This has nothing to do with Christ. And this date was chosen not for religious reasons, but simply because it happened to mark the approximate arrival of the winter solstice, an event that was celebrated long before the advent of Christianity. This is published by The Battle for Christmas in 1996. This is quotes from page 4. The Puritans were correct when they point out, and they pointed it out often, that Christmas was nothing but a pagan festival covered with the Christian veneer. Increased Mather accurately observed in 1687 that the early Christians who first observed the nativity on December 25th did not do so thinking that Christ was born in that month, but because the heathens' Saturnalia was at the time kept in Rome, and they were willing to have those pagan holidays metamorphosed into Christian ones. So now is it understandable how the blending of all of it came together. This is an author going into the origins of it, by the way, and why the Puritans outlawed it and banned it before it eventually became a national holiday in the U.S. This is the pageantry of Christmas, published in 1963. This is page 10, more quotes. Most of the Christian missionaries who moved into Central and Western Europe as the Roman Empire crumbled followed the advice of Pope Gregory the Great. He wrote in 597 that they should not try to put down the pagan customs upon the sudden, but adapt them to the praise of God. So rather than to rebuke, to admonish, or to refrain, or try to put a stop to this, they said adapt to it and mix it and blend it in. This is in 597. Roughly in 350 AD, when Julius I established that December 25th would be the birth date of Christ, is Pope Gregory saying that they should adapt the praise of God to pagan customs. And this is why Christmas indefinitely and indisputably has roots that go back to Saturnalia and other pagan traditions kept within other European cultures that are all linked together. All right, and these are pictures of what occurred at the time. Ancient depictions, Las Fetes, Saturnalia, the Feast of Saturnalia, entered the Rome 535 AD. Absolutely, Kawan, using the profane to worship the holy. You guys see them pouring the wine in. She has her breast out. You know they don't really care. You see the kind of philosopher guy in the corner. You see everybody. You see this man drinking in the back, again, full of revelry, drinking, gambling, whatever it is, so on and so forth. This was the picture before, the little kid eating in the picture. You guys see him pouring the drinks, two people slumped out on the table, eating, everything going on back there. I didn't want to put this in the presentation, but this is how they depict the god Saturn, Saturnus in the upper corner above the picture. This man has the flowers right around the genital area and is pretty much entirely naked, holding a staff in his left hand. Barely covered. You know, they enjoyed being naked. This is their culture. The Yule log. This is them driving the Yule log into their home, what it appears to be. And they're doing so, again, for the custom and tradition that it brings strength back at this time from the sun god. All right. Come on, sis, this is a mess. The water to the brothers for the precepts. Kawan put Ecclesiastes 1:15. That which is crooked cannot be made straight, and that which is wanting cannot be numbered. Medan put Isaiah 5:20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Absolutely. All right, the birthday of Christ. This is a quote. Therefore, from the birth of Christ to the death of Commodus are a total of 194 years, 1 month, and 13 days. There are those who have calculated not only a year of our Lord's birth, but also the day. They say that it took place in the 28th year of Augustus on the 25th day of Pacon, May 20th. Others say he was born on the 24th or 25th day of Farmuthi, which is April 19th or 20th. This was according to the early church father Clement of Alexandria, written around 195 AD. On embracing Christianity, Clement traveled extensively over Greece, Italy, and Jerusalem, seeking instructions and teaching from the most eminent teachers of his day. He was recommended by Alexander, the bishop of Jerusalem, and Origen was one of his pupils. He was another early church father. Church historian Eusebius also speaks well of him. Clement taught that Jesus Christ was the personal savior of men and the living word of God, Trinity cut, and he affirmed the inspiration of the Holy Scriptures. Origen of Alexandria suggested Jesus might have been born in spring, around late March or April, based on biblical clues like shepherds tending flocks in the fields, which wouldn't happen in cold December, with some traditions even pinpointing it near April 19th or 20th, Farmuthi, to align with the Jewish feast days and logistical census travel, though the exact date remains unknown. The exact date remains unknown for the very reason, in fact, that they're now putting it more towards winter and using Christmas, again, rooted in paganism, to celebrate December 25th as the birthday of Christ. In essence, while the church settled on December 25th, early thinkers like Origen used biblical signs to point towards a spring birth, a theory supported by shepherds' presence in the fields. So these two particular men believed that Christ was born around the springtime. If you don't want to say springtime, okay, we'll say summertime. Because shepherds in having their flocks in the fields wouldn't translate to a colder climate at the particular season. We are people that are very much agricultural, and we have laws pertaining to agriculture that are written of within the law. It wouldn't make sense to have your sheep grazing in the field in the cold and winter time. Hippolytus of Rome, an early 3rd century Christian writer, is the first known person to name December 25th as Jesus' birthday in his commentary on Daniel, written around 204 AD, deriving it from calculations linking Jesus' conception to the Annunciation, March 25th, and the Passover creation date, predating the pagan Sol Invictus festival. So he believed that Christ was conceived on March 25th. His work, potentially found on a statue dated around 222 AD, suggests Christians calculated Christmas based on theological reasoning and astronomical alignment with the winter solstice, not from pagan influence. This premise and standpoint he took as a major foundation for conversation and debates taking around Christ having his birthday in December. This was based on the belief that prophets died on the same day they were conceived, making March 25th, the Annunciation, the conception death date for Christ, leading to a December 25th birth. Hippolytus provides the earliest known Christian link between December 25th and Christmas, predating widespread pagan celebrations like Natalis Invicti, the birth of the unconquered sun, by about 50 years. Irenaeus, who lived around 130 to 200 AD, was a prominent early church father and student of Polycarp, who was a disciple of the Apostle John, who was also a student. That's John the Revelator, that is, and the one that wrote the Gospel of John, not to be confused with John the Baptist. He did not explicitly state spring as the season of Christ's birth. Instead, some interpretations of his writing, such as those found in Against Heresy, suggest a December birth by aligning the conception of Jesus with the traditional date of his crucifixion in March, placing his birth 9 months later. So they believe that he was born on the 25th because he was conceived and he was eventually, how can I put? They believe that when she came, the angel Gabriel came to Mary in the Gospel of Luke, they believe that that was March 25th. Fast forward to the Luke is before the conception, Matthew is after the conception, which is why she said in Luke, I never knew a man. And then she's pregnant inside the book of Matthew. So within that, we have to understand they believe that he was conceived on March 25th, but was born December 25th. Now, what doesn't make sense is that if we know he died on Passover and was crucified on it because he is the Passover, which is why he was keeping the Passover, and we know that aligns with prophecy, it would make much more sense that if he died on Passover, he must have been, according to what they're saying, he was born on Passover. But rather, they use Passover for a conception date and say he was born in December, but was conceived on March 25th. I don't know why they put the 25th, but it shows that it's still paganistically linked to the fact that even if it wasn't the fact that it had no pagan links or relations to it being the fact that he was born on December 25th with Saturnalia, Saturnalia still predates the birth of Christ. All right, now this is important because this is where this all roots and comes from. Pope Julius I, around 350 AD, is credited with officially declaring December 25th as the date to celebrate Jesus' birth, his nativity. Although some sources say the date was already used or proposed, again, we just read that 100 years prior by Hippolytus of Rome and Irenaeus, possibly to coincide with or replace Roman winter solstice festivals like Saturnalia or Mithraism, based on calculations tying it to the conception date, March 25th. The actual date of Jesus' birth is unknown, but this decree formalized December 25th for the Western Church. So because they could not agree to it being spring, they thought it more well-fitting, and it being that because Saturnalia was celebrated in December, they would commingle the two together. Some have speculated that part of the reason this date was chosen may have been because Julius was trying to create a Christian alternative to Saturnalia. Another reason for the decision may have been because in 274 AD, the Roman Emperor Aurelian had allegedly declared December 25th the birthday of Sol Invictus, and that Julius I allegedly may have thought that he could attract more converts to Christianity by allowing them to continue to celebrate on the same day, but this cannot be historically verified. He may have also been influenced by the idea that Jesus had died on the anniversary of his conception, because Jesus died during Passover, and in the 3rd century AD, Passover was celebrated on March 25th. He may have assumed that Jesus' birthday may have come 9 months later on December 25th. So again, to that point that they try to use that, well, if he died on Passover, according to that notion, then he must have been born on Passover because he is the Passover. In 350 AD, Pope Julius I declared December 25th the official date, and in 529 AD, Emperor Justinian declared Christmas a civic holiday. This again goes back to 1870 when President Ulysses S. Grant officially made it a national and federal holiday. By the 4th century, however, many Christian groups had begun to observe Christ's birthday, though the day chosen for the celebration differed from place to place. Christians in the East generally celebrated on January 6th, those in the West on December 25th, and we're in the Western Hemisphere. Others set dates in March, April, or May. About 350 AD, Pope Julius set December 25th as the date of Jesus' birth. This corresponds with the Roman feast Saturnalia, the festival of the unconquered sun. In the late 330s AD, Pope Julius declared December 25th, Christ born in Bethlehem, Judea. So now, with what I have to say about this, this is where all of this comes and roots from. Not just because Hippolytus and Irenaeus, and even I believe it was also Jerome, the translator of the Latin Vulgate, had believed that he was born on December 25th, or in the winter solstice, if you will. This is what gave evidence and argument, though prior root of it, Saturnalia in the winter solstice and festivals taking place with the Romans and the Vikings, the ancient Germans, the Celts, so on and so forth, all had their winter festivals and things that they were doing. Never mind that December 25th was chosen after the fact. They were already doing this beforehand. It's just that because Christianity began to spread and they wanted and needed more converts, this is why I gave the quotes from the book. Well, Pope Gregory said, rather than to fight the pagans or try to convert them, why don't you adapt to them and assimilate and just commingle the two? That way it's easier. And this is why he did so indefinitely, because the Invictus. St. Nicholas. The last portion of this I want to get into. The cathedral built to honor the former bishop in Bari, Italy, which was in 1087, depicts the Turkish-born saint as very dark-skinned, Middle Eastern male. One of the most famous figures of Christendom, Nicholas is the patron saint of several countries, including Russia, Greece, Germany, Austria, Belgium, Sicily, Lorraine, and etc. When the feast of St. Nicholas, December 6th, was prohibited after the Protestant Reformation of the 16th century, this miracle worker retained its popularity. In 1664, when the Netherlanders relocated to New York, New Amsterdam, as they called it, they carried their customs with them, and this is why it began to spread and began to be celebrated. This goes back to how I had brought out earlier, the Puritans were fighting and pushing back against it because they said it had nothing to do with Christ, and we believe he was born in September. What you guys are doing has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible and is not biblically rooted and has no foundation. Dutch youngsters awaited a visit from Sinterklaas, St. Nicholas, this is how you say that in Portuguese, and presents he'd leave in their wooden shoes on the eve of December 5th. As the appealing Dutch custom of celebrating the feast of St. Nicholas by giving gifts to children spread throughout this nation, this America that is, Sinterklaas became the English Santa Claus in the United States. Nicholas's wealthy parents died in an epidemic while Nicholas was still young. Being a devout Christian, he followed the words of Jesus to sell what you own and give money to the poor. That's Matthew 19. That's the story of the young rich man. Nicholas used his whole inheritance to assist the needy, the sick, and the suffering. He was made the bishop of Myra while still a young man. The high office of Nicholas at such a young age speaks to the dominant role played by Black Anatolians and in creating the churches we know today. This is the turning point. St. Nicholas became popular in Europe, especially in Holland. As time went on, St. Nicholas found fame in America. In 1881, cartoonist Thomas Nast portrayed him as a round, bearded white man, which was far from accurate representation of the man Santa was based on. The appearance of St. Nicholas, whose kindness and generosity inspired this legendary character, was lost and forgotten. At the time, it probably made sense to make Santa Claus white, as people of color weren't really accepted into society and weren't represented equally. That's not to say we're completely welcomed by everyone in America even now. So, these are the 1087 AD depictions of St. Nicholas. not the jolly old white man that we see in today's time. Of course, we should know during the Renaissance era, i.e. the rebirth, they decided to remix over everything and repaint and whitewash all of the images. Yahawashi has gone into this with iconoclasm, iconoclast as they call it, destroying the images, taking them down, and more importantly, repainting over everything, showing everything for what they believe it to be true in the root of what was known to be in that time, in that day and age, which actually set forth the standard of what's known as what we know now, white supremacy. The only way to maintain supremacy is to uproot the very foundation of things that Esau had nothing to do with and put himself within it. All of the heroes, everything you could possibly imagine that has to deal with us as a people, Esau hijacked, took over, and this is how it's maintained and upheld in today's time. But with this presentation now, and including the very origin of where Santa Claus comes from, being St. Nicholas, you can see and understand he was never a white man himself. Absolutely, and precisely on point. All right. That concludes the lesson for this presentation. I hope this was edifying for everyone. I hope that all of you had gotten the proper information received. I could have gone further, because it goes back to ancient Assyria, Babylon, Egypt, a lot of different things, due to the fact that it very much goes way far back than how deeply rooted this wicked holiday is, and the fact that, again, there's a way that people have today of trying to remix everything and justify what they're doing, and they don't realize that, them being ignorant and being in the state of ignorance, they are not educated, aware, or even know about where this holiday even roots from. Kanye, Bayon, exactly. Again, we know about Jeremiah 10:2, be not dismayed at the signs of heaven like the heathen are. But again, that very much speaks to how Christmas has been installed and celebrated, that they celebrate today, and they don't even realize, that what they're doing particularly matters to the fact that because of how they're still keeping it and celebrating it, they choose and still yet live in delusion rather than to actually get out of what they believe it to be and actually are still celebrating it, what they claim it to be when it's actually not. Christmas is not the birthday of Christ. It for damn sure still relates back and has a lot of the same tradition and customs that they kept in Saturnalia and elsewhere within the Germanic and Norse cultures. And that's obvious. Your gift giving, your lighting candles, the evergreen tree, the mistletoe, and the modern day now of that. And, as all of you guys see, people have their Christmas celebrations and their lights and everything like that hung up. And it's interesting because all of right after Christmas, they still keep it up for however long. Highlight this. Then I'll put La Befana, which is the Christmas witch. This is Italy's version of Santa Claus. That's wicked. That is wicked. Absolutely is demonic. Krampus also goes into I believe Panah had actually gone into that. Krampus was represented as a little black boy. I'm not mistaken. Yeah, with the presentation, that concludes the lesson because, again, it wasn't, I could have extended it because of, we all know how far back this goes, but because we are living in the age of information, I felt it was suffice enough with everything I brought forth to just share that, give people that much and explain it and break it down, and then maybe take it back to Near Eastern cultures that were round about the nation of Israel that look at the customs they kept, look how they celebrated, look what they did, so on and so forth. So with that being said, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, put them in the chat, Baba Kusha. Put them in the chat, Baba Kusha. Hanganan Krampus is a horned half demon, half goat monster from Central European folklore who punishes children who misbehave at Christmas. I hate this day. You might as well be celebrating Halloween. Good point. Come on. You guys have the ammunition you need. Because next week we have to go into New Year's. And we have to deal with the nonsense and the BS. New year, new me. Cut this person off, cut that person off. We have to deal with people that want to set forth goals when they should be doing it now and just wait until another year comes. But, things like that happen. So, again, no questions, comments, concerns. Watch back over this class and share it so that way those of you that can pass this information on can reach those that need to hear it. All right. All right. Amadu Mapunya Makudum. This is Psalm chapter 64. Hear my voice, O God, in my prayer, preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So shall I make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. All the men shall fear and shall declare the work of God, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. In the name of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, the Wadah Yad, Aman.
Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahabashim Yahshai Barakatah.
Yahabashim Yahshai Barakatah. All right. Shalom, shalom, family. Lion La Tawab.